All right, everyone. Donald Trump did manage to post a $175 million bond. Yes, in the real estate case up in New York with Letitia James and sympathetic Judge Engoron, who again sounds like he's probably commander in the Imperial Forces in a Star Wars movie. He posted his bond, and this is confusing certain liberals. Like, how the fuck did he do that? We thought that he was broke. You know, we literally spammed that hashtag around all over the internet for days after the initial bond was announced. It was $425 million. It was then lower. And they're like, how did he have the money? Well, the answer is he's not broke. The answer is he doesn't need the RNC to pay his bills. He's a billionaire, multi-billionaire. Here's the thing, though. When you have that kind of money, typically it's held in illiquid assets, like in Trump's case, real estate. He owns a bunch of skyscrapers and golf courses and condo developments and things like that, office buildings and apartments. He's a real estate mogul. It takes time to liquidate real estate to get its value. Now, while Trump could have easily posted that original bond, why the hell would he want to bother doing that when he can simply wait until they lower the bond and then appeal? I do not expect them to accept the appeal, but this will slow walk the process and get closer and closer to the general election, making it look more and more like persecution should they decide, well, yeah, we're going to go for the original $425 million. In the end, they might just grab the 175 and call it a day. They might cut their losses because they don't want to have him kick the can down the road so far. I tried to explain to liberals out there the nature of money versus wealth, and they don't generally listen. They don't seem to understand. Donald Trump is worth billions of dollars, but most of those billions of dollars is not cash. The fact that he had this much cash on hand actually is phantasmagoric. It's actually slightly odd that he was able to post even the reduced bond. He claims that he has several $100 million on hand. Apparently he probably does. I mean, he's still got plenty of millions or tens of millions of dollars in cash now, even after posting this bond, and it slow walks the process and makes sense. That's why he waited till the last minute to post the bond. He wants to slow the process as much as possible because we're getting closer and closer to the general election. I tried to explain how Trump got his money. Donald Trump started out with some tens of millions of dollars. This is back in the day when that's worth collectively hundreds of millions in today's devalued currency, by the way. Some of it was on loan from his father. Some of it was money he ponied up himself. It was part of his original worth. And he got into real estate. So he bought up some apartments and shit in Brooklyn. Then he gets rent for renting out office buildings and to tenants in those apartments. And he managed to run a profit. Then he goes to investors, and originally he's asking for tens of millions, not the billions that he could get today for investment. And he says, look, I'm running a profitable series of apartments. I'm not getting complaints from tenants, either in the commercial or the residential sense, and so you should invest with me. I can make your investment back. You give me money now. I buy this other building. I refurbish it. I turn it into a Trump property. People know my name. They know I'm not a slumlord or something like that. So people want to go there to have an office, etc. I know where to buy the location. I know what to post for rent, etc. I can prove this, and here's the paperwork from the properties I already own. So they invest with him, and they say, well, you know, this is a comfortable investment. I'm investing $15 million here, and under the terms, I'll probably get $20 million back. And then he has the property, and he's free and clear, and then hopefully he makes the money. And so over time, originally in Brooklyn and then later in Manhattan, he was considered crazy by his family, apparently, for wanting to branch out. It's like, no, we rent middle-class properties in Brooklyn, son. We're not Manhattan socialites. He branches out. He makes enough in Brooklyn to branch out into Manhattan, and the rest is history. He owns collectively dozens and dozens of high-end properties all around the world. In fact, in total, I think it's several hundred actual properties. Some of them are more valuable than others. Of course, Trump Tower in downtown Manhattan is going to be worth more than a small golf course or something like that. It's a massive property, which they've also tried to go after, saying, well, he overvalued the value of Trump Tower and his apartment there. Yeah, I mean, of course. The problem being there's 3 units that he actually holds there. So if you look at that total price and you fix for just 1 unit, of course it looks like he overvalued it. If you assume that the Mar-a-Lago is actually only worth $18 million, it looks like he overvalued things. That's bullshit, number one. He could sell it for far, far more than that. It'd probably fetch $250 million or something like that. Prime location, enormous property, over 100 fucking bedrooms. Try paying $18 million and see what happens. $18 million will rent you the guest cottage for a year at the Mar-a-Lago. That's basically what you'll get. It's beyond even Martha's Vineyard pricing, actually, down where it's located. And it's not clear exactly why they decided to have a New York evaluation of a Floridian property in the first place. I would point out that in this case, there wasn't even a proper litigant. Some of the banks and business people that were part of the investment deal based on his property evaluation testified on his behalf and said they had no problem with it. It was effectively the state of New York arbitrarily designating the properties as worth less than they were actually worth in order to go after Trump for fraud in a civil case, in which the only litigant is the state of New York. None of the banks complained, none of the investors complained, they all got paid back, they're perfectly happy, Trump got his as well, and now he's posted bond. This will be on appeal for a while. It's not going to be a fast process. And that was the whole point. That's why he waited until the very last minute to post it, because in that interim period, they can't file any legal motions or anything like that. They're just waiting for the bond. So he got an extra 10 days. The liberals don't seem to understand that Donald Trump is indeed massively rich. If he can pony up this in cash, he should have converted it all to pennies and had dump trucks dump the pennies out in front of the courthouse or something like that, so that Letitia James could come out and scoop them up into bags and grovel like a pig. Unfortunately, he didn't choose to troll in that manner. Or he could have been kind and used quarters. Then it would have been more worth their time. But the fact that he had this much cash on hand is actually surprising. It points to Trump perhaps having even more wealth than they're estimating already on paper. I mean, because this is aside from all of the properties that he owns, which are collectively worth several billion dollars. Again, skyscrapers, apartments, office buildings, golf courses, a lot of them, because he really likes golf. And what he should do, by the way, right now, Biden challenged him to a golf match, right? Say, okay, Joe, I accept, but it's got to be on one of my golf courses. And it's going to be fully televised, too. I think that Trump would probably prevail over Joe Biden given what I've seen of their respective golf games. It's very, very funny. And neither of them is necessarily Tiger Woods. To be honest, Trump is not a master golfer. But he likes to do it. I don't know why, because it's like the most fucking boring game in the world. Yes, okay, I admit that it takes skill, but I mean, come on. I'd rather watch ice hockey and watch people beat each other up. That's the only reason to watch ice hockey, by the way. That would be my favorite sport, that or maybe like a UFC sort of thing. Trump likes wrestling. He's in with all of those people. But the liberals are flabbergasted. Oh my God. Well, you thought that Trump was broke? Well, he just paid enough bond to buy and sell your entire neighborhood several times over. You don't do that if you're broke. You can't do that if you're down and out and you're actually a loser. No loser has that much money. Unless they just won the lottery, in which case they tend to squander it and then they do become poor. Many such cases. I won $100 million. I'm going to buy 5 houses and get a chauffeur and a limo and buy a Maserati and a Ferrari and, I guess, a Tesla Cybertruck too, just for show. So my neighbors will think I'm environmentally conscious. And within a couple of years, they're down to zero. Well, they got plenty of illiquid assets, so when they go through bankruptcy proceedings, they won't be truly poor, but that $100 million is now a couple $1 million, and they have to downsize, and they have to sell their Maserati, and it's really, really sad. Wealth versus money. Liberals do not understand it. This is why leftoids should not be allowed to handle an economy. We see what they did to Argentina, for example. We're trying to undo that. That's about all. Peace out.